Welcome to Tiger Chainsaw Interviews. These exclusive interviews will give you a behind-the-scenes retrospective mixed in with some amazing secrets of your favorite games and franchises by the developers and creators of them. Now, if I have filmed the interview, you'll be able to watch it. Otherwise, it's a phone interview, so just sit back and relax. Now, I have done some incredible exclusive interviews with some amazing gaming legends in this community. So hit that sub button to make sure you don't miss any of those interviews. Alright, let's get to our interview of the day. My guest today is the composer from the original God of War series. Gerard Marino composed the music for 6 God of War games. And in this interview, he's going to reveal the name of the original God of War, how the soundtrack vastly changed, and if he has any sour feelings toward not being included in the God of War reboots. Gerard, I guess, what got you into music? What were some of your earliest memories of being inspired to become a musical composer?
Okay, well, when I was in fourth grade, I was in fourth grade when Star Wars came out, and that was one of the most attractive things to music for me, because the movie just blew us all away. Being in fourth grade and having that movie hit, it was just like nothing had ever been that amazing before. So, I was right at the perfect age for that sort of thing. So I wanted to learn. That was like the first record I bought with my own money. And I just wore the grooves out in that, just imagining the movie as it was going. And then I would imagine myself playing all the different instruments, imagine conducting it. And I conducted it with a golf tube lifesaver and, like one does. And, so then, that was it really just kind of made me think hard about music, more so than I had out of just whatever, singing in choirs or whatever in school or church or whatever. And then, sometime around high school, I decided that might be a thing to do since I wasn't so hot in sports. But it was kind of a good idea, I thought. And, I met some guitar players, and I had played with this crazy synthesizer at Radio Shack in the mall. And I thought, that's a cool thing I could do. And so, I saved some money, and I started buying synthesizers and learning how to do that. And I'd had piano lessons, of course, and I'd, listen to that. And then, one time, the second rock band gig I played in high school, we played for the drummer's high school battle of the bands, and we played Jump from 1984. That was our first thing. It would just come out. It had come out like that week, and we were the only band with keyboards in it, which was me. And so I went out there and I played that 1984 synthesizer introduction to it, and I was all alone on stage with spotlight on me, and it was just very surreal to have that happen for the first time at 15 or whatever it was. And when I played the first 2 chords of Jump, like 100 girls went, yeah, and it was like, fuck. And so technically it was all over then. As soon as I heard that, it's like, okay, this is it. This is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a goddamn rock star. I don't give a damn about anything else. And so it was the girls. That's what I got on music for, really.
Yeah, hey, I love it.
Really John Williams and Star Wars that pulled me in initially, but then when that happened, it's like, oh god, because I was an awkward kid and all that stuff, and now I actually had girls wanting to talk to me, so I was like, hell, of course I'm going to do this. What a cool
origin story that is. From Star Wars to your Battle of the Bands to realizing what music can get you. It's pretty cool to hear about that.
Well, it's one of those things that you find it out somewhere along the line. I mean, if you happen to be good in sports, you find out what that could get you. But basically, like if you're a guy, you kind of have to do something. You have to be doing something, or else girls just don't really care. I mean, if you're doing something, women look at you as somebody who's doing something. You're more attractive to. It's just it's like caveman stuff, but that's what it is. And it was something I discovered. So anyway, it's fun too. So I was drawn in originally for the music, I guess, from Star Wars, and then that kind of really nailed it in as something I should be looking to do. And then, so I looked into it, and I was in a bunch of different bands, different styles, and all the bands always broke up for all the same stupid reasons bands always break up. And somewhere along the line there, I decided to, I had the keyboards and the technology was getting good, so I was like, all right, well, I can do this all myself, I think. And I went and, I bought enough synthesizer material, and I sat down to work on my solo stuff. It was going to be some kind of new age jazz sort of thing because it was the 90s. And then I realized how much I relied on my other bandmates. That I was writing the same song over and over again. That having a group of folks could actually make better, more expansive music. And then, oh shit, Dad was right. If I'm serious about music, I have to go to college. Damn. I was sure I was just going to be a rock star by the time I was like 22 and not worry about a damn thing. But then I was like, okay, I guess I got to go to school. So I started college at I think it was 26 by the time I actually started. And I was on my own dime, so I had to save money and all that garbage. I did that. I went and studied music composition and came out to LA and did the film scoring program at USC. Came out to do film and TV, but sometime while I was in school, it became possible for regular folks like, regular composer types to do game music, because before that you had to program a game chip, and I tried my hand at computer programming and just hate it. So it's just not, my head's just not there. I mean, I've got enough of a mechanical brain to connect all this gear and make things happen, but when it gets down to the machine code level with the get Z $ equals whatever, it's like nah, I just want to play it, So but anyway, starting in the 90s, they started streaming music off of CD-ROMs that were in your computer, and it was like, damn, I didn't know. But then as that advanced, and then you can just record anything and put it in a video game, it became possible that you could score a video game without being a computer programmer, unbeknownst to me. But then, as I think you mentioned in one of the things, when I first got out of USC, I was doing some work for other composers, Christopher Young, Christoph Beck, and Chris Leonard. It was like all the Chris's. and Chris Leonard was, I'd do synth programming and stuff because I was a whiz on all that. It was funny, I was off in the hinterlands reading Keyboard Magazine and making sure I was up on the technology, for film scoring. And when I got out to do it, I thought, at USC, the best of the best, it's like everybody's going to be all up into it. But no, everybody was so traditional. They were all pencil and paper and finale, and they were amazing composers. But I was like the king of that tech in that class. So in 2000, so I wound up working for a bunch of old school composers who needed tech work, and synth stuff and connecting, digital studios and shit like that. So I got to make a little money when I first got out of school, still working on films, learning how the sausages get made. And then Chris Leonard was scoring a video game, Medal of Honor Rising Sun, and he had me do kind of like a pre-orchestration on woodwinds in his computer. And then I went to the recording session. It's like, fuck, here's a giant orchestra at the Sony lot for a video game. Like, wow. You can do this? Holy shit. And I was like, wow. It was really an eye-opening thing. And then, a couple of things happened, and I guess I'll tell you, since this is the whole origin story. When I first moved to LA, in the apartment that I moved into, like a week after I moved into it, some guy was moving in, and in the elevator, I was coming back with, a Target run, and there's a didgeridoo and a chauffeur and a set of tablas and a dulcimer and this guy with all this stuff, and I'm like, oh, hey, you're a musician? Like, yeah. Like, oh, I'm a composer. Like, oh, cool, man. Like, you moving in? Yeah. Like, you need some help? Yeah, sure. So I wound up helping this guy move in, and we wound up being pals and cooking, trading grill recipes and hanging out. He was out to be some kind of producer director. Just got out of school with a multimedia degree in Ohio, and anyway, we became pals. But then he moved away, I moved away, etc. But a couple of years later, he called me and said, "Hey, man, my grade school buddy, his dad's running a production music library, and they just opened an LA branch, and they need music, and I told him about you, and he's expecting your call, so give him a shout." That was Rich Goldman down at Riptide Music.
Wow.
So I did. So I called him up. "Hey, what's up?" I played the music for him. I was like, "Oh, yeah, nice." And so we put in like everything I had, because I'd just gotten out of school recently, and I had a bunch of stuff that I owned, either from student films or from independent films or from school projects I even put in there. And then it was early in the production music craze, just as it was kicking off, and a bunch of it got licensed in trailers, and some money just started showing up in my mailbox, and it was neat. So, and one thing, back then, there weren't so many sample libraries, so me and some of the boys at SC, we had, and I had done this too in undergrad, just to get those weird Penderecki aleatoric type stuff that really did not exist at all in a sample library. So we just record them ourselves. We get students, and just in our apartments or in practice rooms, just have them do crazy extended techniques and then just layer stuff. So a couple of my friends and I had some of the best, or the only aleatoric type samples, and I was putting them in all my stuff. And so I had some of the scariest sounding shit that was in libraries those days. So a bunch of it got licensed in trailers. Just a bunch of little, like whips and rips and all that stuff that now they're pretty standard, but
yeah,
they weren't then. So I did make some dough, and then anyway, Sony Computer Entertainment is looking for somebody to score this big new flagship game that's ultra top secret, and they've already been through everybody in the industry, and they reach out to Rich Goldman and say, "Who writes the nastiest, meanest, horrific shit that you know?" And he's like, "That's Gerard Marino." So he introduces me to the Sony guys, and I wrote a demo for this top secret game they're making, and all they told me was that it's the most evil character that's ever stepped foot on a video game before. That's it. And and we think we want like rock and roll plus orchestra and opera or something. And so I'm like, all right. So I wrote what I thought that was. I turned it in, and they said, "Hey, they kind of like it." And then 6 months go by, and then whatever. And then they're like, "Okay." They changed their minds. They actually want the Gladiator score, because it's set in ancient Greece. They're like, "Oh, well, that's all information I could have used before." And I was imagining not ancient Greece. So anyway, they're like, "Okay, yeah, they like the Gladiator score." So and I think I heard that they like this track and that track from the thing. So could you write another demo? But the first one, I think they even paid me to write the first one. And anyway, so the second one, it was unpaid. And at that point, so I didn't know this, but at that point, they'd actually already had hired Ron Fish to score God of War and to write just like crazy, murky, primordial, music concrete, blurpy, bloopy, unmelodic tension noise stuff. At that time, Jaffe just wanted it to be visceral and awful and upsetting. And so Ron wrote like 20 minutes of that. He's really good at that stuff. And they put it in the game, and it didn't work. And they're like, "All right, so how about you just do rock and roll instead?" And he's like, "Nah, I got another game to do here. If you guys know what you're doing, why don't you come back when you know?" So he quit.
Wow.
That was like before it went out with the rock and roll plus orchestra thing. And so half the industry demoed for that with the rock and roll thing. And
you said you have that?
Yeah, I did it. Yeah.
Okay, that's so interesting. Has anyone heard this before?
Actually, no. The only people who ever heard it are the people I turned it into and me. I've never released it, never even put it on a website or on a demo.
Oh my goodness.
And actually, the way that the deal is, I actually own it too. So I'm thinking about putting it out as an NFT, to tell you the truth.
Wow.
It'd be a legit collector's item.
Yeah, that's pretty smart right there. I bet you that's pretty valuable that a lot of people would be interested in hearing.
Maybe. I mean, and then they'd be interested in hearing it. And really, to tell you the truth, it's just just a demo I wrote in a day. It's not like my favorite music, but it's, it's solid. I mean, it's mean and it's whatever.
But it changes the whole feel of God of War, though. Like that's a big deal.
It would have.
Yeah.
It was like a little more, I don't know, it would have been more like Devil May Cry.
Okay.
Of course.
All right.
Or took a few cues from the fight department. But,
yeah.
Anyway, I didn't know any of this stuff. I didn't, when they first said that, they didn't say anything about it. And it was called Dark Odyssey at the time. They told me that's what it was called. So that could have been anything, right?
Yeah.
I was kind of picturing like Highlander, it's maybe, some sword fighter in the near future, but wrong. So anyway, all right. So they'd asked a couple of people to do the music concrete. They hired Ron Fish. He quits because they don't know what they want. They ask a bunch of people to do the rock and roll orchestra thing. So then like half the people they demoed, and then they come back 6 months later with, okay, actually we think we want this. So then half the other, so we're wheedling down and running out of people who were even bothering to demo for this thing. And because, they're like, they don't know what they're doing. It's a whatever game, and all the industry guys are actually just working. So, it was a smaller pool, and also they're reaching to look outside, because they want to do something different and all that stuff. So that's how I got into it at all. If they would have said, hey, it's Ancient Greece and we want Gladiator, Egon Zuru would have been scoring that thing right off the bat, or anyone would have. They would have never got to me. But since David Jaffe wanted to turn over every rock and try everything out, a lot of people, the usual suspects, were like busy and not demoing for it by the time I came into the picture. And actually that kind of style, that kind of sound is something I always would write when I had a chance with an orchestra in college. I loved that big Miklos Rozsa desert sword and sandal epic sound. I'd already been wanting to do it all this time and kind of despairing of it because, those were always giant movies, and to land one of those, it'd be a while, It wasn't all the independent films I was scoring were smaller character drama type things that just wouldn't call for that kind of thing. So, I was like, I don't know if it's going to happen, but that's what I love to do. And then it comes around. So here you go. Take a shot at it. So I wrote something, and it was like the first piece of music David Jaffe liked in the year. And they're like, well, never heard of this Marino kid. Going to give him a shot anyway. So, boom. There you go. I'm scoring the flagship title for Sony Computer Entertainment on accident.
What a story.
And all because I helped a guy move in, and I happened to move to that freaking apartment complex, and he did too the same week. It's really just, you can't make this shit happen. It's like the dials of time turn around, it's the doors open, and then you can walk through them if you're there. Standing there.
Yeah, talk about being rewarded for being a good Samaritan. You helping out really helped your life out. That's pretty.
I think it did.
Yeah. So I'm gonna expose myself just a little bit and let you know I have no musical talents whatsoever. So can you explain your creative process for when you begin putting together pieces and songs? What's that process like for when you start to begin that? Help me understand it.
All right. Well, if we're talking about scoring a video game, it's one thing. If I want to be just writing something, if a song, So let's just say we'll keep it video game related. It's going to be something like I gotta pull something from the game, use the parameters of the game to make decisions that I would make musically. So, I just find something about the game that I can apply to the things the building blocks of composition. So, it could be like, so with God of War, right? So the thing's set in ancient Greece. And, there's a certain kind of a idea in your mind about what the big Hollywood stuff, the big Hollywood classic film scores sound like. So they've got a certain kind of mode of scale. They have like a major scale goes da 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 Well, theirs goes, it's a minor scale, and it's got a flat 2 and a sharp 4 sometimes. So, you're just like, all right, so that's going to be in there. There's going to be some minor seconds and some tritones, and it's going to go back and forth from major to minor sometimes. You know that if you studied a little bit of music, but when you hear it. Like, I can tell you what it is. You'll know when you hear it if I just played it for you on the piano. So, I thought about some of that. The fact that it was in Greece, well, we should have maybe a choir singing in Greek. They always sing in Latin. Why not sing in Greek? And then, on this one, they told me the first thing they had me do was write a theme for their main character. And they told me his name's Kratos. Actually, no, his name wasn't even Kratos at the time. It was Dominus.
Wow.
Which technically is like Roman. It would have been Dominios or some shit if it was Greek. But so first off, write the Dominus theme. And they got the pictures. They gave me the pictures of Kratos, like the places he would be. They showed me the wireframe of him running around. And I'm like, all right. So, and they said they want to have the same effect of the Indiana Jones theme. Like every time Indiana Jones starts doing something, they play the theme, and you're like, yeah. They want to have the theme for Kratos, but it's dark. And it's the same thing. Every time he starts doing his badass Dominus shit, you're going to... the theme's going to play and everyone's going to go, yeah, hell yeah. So they wanted the same effect as that. And also to reinforce his character motivations. And he was motivated to get revenge on Ares for tricking him into, ultimately we find out killing his family. But so he will redeem himself by getting revenge. So revenge and redemption are the themes we want, the feelings we want his theme to convey. And it needs to be instantly recognizable. And all that. I'm like, all right, gotcha. And I went back to do that. And then I realized after all that schooling, nobody really it's not like you have theme writing class. I'm like, well, what the hell are the building blocks of theme writing?
Yeah.
And I realized I didn't fucking know. Nobody taught me that. And since then, I've talked to everyone I know that I've talked to. You could go to Berkeley and study songwriting, and they won't tell you how to write a melody because it's like you just do it, I guess, right? So, and ultimately, yes, you do, but I don't know. There could be a little more help on the building blocks. So I figured out that the building blocks are basically rhythm and interesting intervallic relationships and jumps. So. And also, I go to write this thing. I've got a day to do it, and I'm like, oh wait, I kind of forgot. It was like all of a sudden I felt like I ran out of talent for some reason. It was like, whoa, but I did. I came up with something. First off, I just took the picture they gave me of Kratos, and I laid on the couch and slept on the couch that night. And I just fell asleep staring at his picture while I had Chris Young's Bless the Child score playing really low on the stereo, because that's just a bunch of evil, dark, demonic music. So I just kind of wanted to get evil, dark, demonicness in there. It's a lot of aleatoric stuff too, so it's not really not so thematic that I didn't think it would infiltrate that way. It would just get my head in the right space, and I'd hopefully wake up having dreamt it and go straight to the keyboard and write it. And, that's not what happened. So I woke up and went to the keyboard, and I was like, yeah, how do you write a theme? And so I came up with that. It's like, all right, well, I need a rhythm, and I need cool intervallic relationships with it. How do I get a rhythm? Like, all right, well, it's in ancient Greece. Its character motivation is supposed to be revenge and redemption. So I called up my buddy Kostas, Greek composer, said, hey, what's the Greek words for revenge and redemption? And he says, ekthikisi and literacy. And I'm like, thanks. Click. And then so I'm like, okay, ekthikisi, literacy, that's going to be my rhythm. So I walk around the house just pounding it out. Like clicking my teeth together and pounding on things. It's like, okay, what notes are going on? But it's going to be something with the minor seconds and the minor thirds and the major thirds and the tritones. Like, dun 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 dun. So that's where it comes from. That's where the Kratos theme came from.
It's incredible though, like you just sounding it out. I can hear those themes of it. It's really fascinating how it came together. So when you were recording it, were you at the Sony studio? And if so, can you kind of describe the recording space that you had?
Well, God of War 1, we only recorded the choir, and everything else is electronically produced. And that actually came together at the end. We didn't know we were going to be actually recording a choir. We just didn't know. And they came up with the dough for that. We actually did that here in Los Angeles at, I don't think it's there anymore. It was, what was it called? It was this nice recording studio that had one big-ish room. And they, I can't remember what it was called. They have now since closed it, but it was, they did a lot of more like pop stuff there. But it was sweet, and it was the Union Studio Choir, contracted by Bobby Page here, and they're the best. I mean, just like you wouldn't believe how good that choir is, how good those singers are. They could sight sing the hardest, craziest stuff. And, and she was there helping us out, too, because we know what we're doing when we're writing music, we think. And then we go in there, and then the parts would come in, we'd go through it once, and she's like, the tenors could actually sing this line, and the sopranos, and she's like, I think what you're going for, we could actually do this thing. Mind if we just try it once? She's like, yeah, try it. She rearranged some of the stuff and made it sound better for us on the fly, just right there, and they could just do whatever immediately. It was like, wow. She made it sound better than even we were. Anyway, so that was that one. But then then it was a big hit, right? So then we had more money to spend on orchestras. So we did brass in London and strings in Prague and choir in Prague for God of War 2. And then for God of War 3, I think we did almost everything up at Skywalker Ranch with San Francisco opera players.
Wow, that had been really cool.
Oh, it was great. Yeah.
Just from your origin story of watching Star Wars to recording at Skywalker Ranch, I mean, that's quite the circle of life right there.
Oh, totally. And we were all living the dream, at that point. There's 4 composers on that one. On God of War 3, yeah. It was me and Mike Regan and Chris Velasco and Ron Fish. We're all there, and we're all buds at this point from having worked together on these things and using each other's themes, and we're all, close to the same age. And, we just, it turned into quite a bit of camaraderie. And so, we're riding around on those little bicycles. They got those ET bicycles with baskets and stuff. We're riding them around in a pitch black with our phones trying to illuminate it. And we're singing the ET theme and all that stuff. It was a dream for all of us, because we're of a certain age. And John Williams pretty much the guy who kind of pulled us into that sort of thing. So yeah, it was absolutely a dream. And then the first one, I actually went on my first big motorcycle trip up there. So I got on my newish motorcycle and blasted up there in one day. So it was an epic motorcycle trip for an epic orchestral recording, and then back again. It was it was one of the signature weeks of my life.
Yeah, quite the adventure, it sounds like.
Yep.
Yeah, so you worked on 6 God of War games. Which one was your favorite to compose for, and why?
That's pretty easy going to be God of War 2. Because, God of War 1 was hard because it was kind of back and forth, and everybody was a little worried about how to do it. And, but once it got established, it was a big hit. Everybody won all the awards in the world. I was like, all right. So, yeah, Corey Barlog was the director on that one. And the first meeting, he said, well, you guys just knocked it out of the park on the last one. So if you do, nothing more than that, I'm going to be happy as shit. If you want to push out to the edge just a little bit, go ahead. But I trust you. You could just do exactly what you did the last time, and it's going to be fine. And, all right. And, of course, I wanted to push it. And I did, and we all did, really. But they really let me run hog wild with that thing. I had 2 revisions on the whole fucking score, 2 little ones, and so really, it's the most unfiltered me in the whole thing. You know, like they almost changed nothing for me. You know, usually it's a collaborative process. Directors maybe don't like this approach or that one. They want you to either tone this down or tone that up or whatever. And then that one, it was almost like fucking perfect. Every time I turned in stuff, it was, you know, and I hurt myself. I was pushing out to the edges of my talent. Once again, you know, it happened again. We sit down, the first meeting, like, yeah, here we go again. And Gerard, the first thing we want out of you is a new theme for Kratos. Well, okay, but you know, they didn't get a new theme for Darth Vader in Return of the Jedi. A new theme for Kratos, the one that actually got burned and almost got thrown out. I mean, it's like, it's like, well, he's a god now, so it's different. He's a different Kratos. You know, it's just like a new theme to like be the new angle for him.
Yeah.
Like, okay. And so, yeah, I had another, you know, run out of talent moment. I was like, how can I write another theme for it? It's already done. There's no way.
I already nailed it.
Yeah. So, but I think, well, what did I do the last time? And then it's like, all right, well, I used the Greek choir to come up with a character motivation. And so what's the character motivation? And there wasn't necessarily, I can't remember if there was those guidelines specifically, but when we went in for that meeting, there was a giant poster of him looking up at Olympus, and underneath it said, "The end begins." I'm like, all right, the end begins. Beep, boop, bop, bop. Hey, Kostas, what's the Greek word for the end begins? And then actually this time I brought Kostas on. I got him to be brought on as a paid librettist. So he worked with me to write basic poetry in Greek to set to the choir and set to music. And so, yeah, that's how I wrote that one. And that one actually got some serious play. You know, that's the End Begins one, you know, Telos Arisi. We did turn it into a metal track for Guitar Hero. It's been parodied around the world. It's fun. So that one, yeah, that's how we did that one. And also that score was better because of that. They let me bring in a librettist. And so we actually worked with the script and made, like, you walk into the Temple of Fates and it tells you, Kratos, seize your fate, change your destiny, you know, in Greek. And so, and yeah, I've had fans in Greece write to me like, oh my God, I got goosebumps all the way down to my toes. So I walk in there and I hear them singing in ancient Greek, like, what are you doing? You know, so yeah, I felt like I did that one. That one really, they kind of let me run wild. They really, and I really was trying hard, and it all came out. And it barely came out too. Clint Bajakian saved a lot of those choir pieces because, you know, we recorded that first choir in Los Angeles, and why did I think we wouldn't do the next one? So I wrote some hard as hell stuff, and then no, we wound up recording the choir in Prague. And so that, when I first logged into that Source Connect session, so yeah, I was still back here writing, and they're in Prague doing it. And so the sessions there started at whatever, 10 in the morning over there. It's like midnight over here. So I would log in at midnight after having written all day, and then the second I log into the first choir session, I hear them trying to do the Fate theme, and which is the most chromatic, crazy thing ever, and it sounds like a freaking like a middle school choir trying to do something. It's like, oh no, they're never gonna get it. So Clint actually ran in the back and simplified the part on paper and had him copy it and send it out, and freaking saved it. Wow. So I was like, wow, indeed.
So you have shared some incredible memories already, but what's that one memory that you will never forget from your time working on the God of War franchise? You know, it could be something funny, it could be something serious, but what's that one memory that you will always associate with God of War? Well,
you know, there's a lot. It's really been quite a grand pageant. the whole time with this thing. I think, well, you know, and there's been a certain amount of signature moments of my life that are attached to it, and I suppose I could say that one of them, probably I don't know, maybe one of the best ones. I'll say it was kind of after the first one and after Video Games Live. So yeah, crazy enough. So yeah, I thought when I imagined myself as a film composer when I first started studying music and all that, I was thinking maybe after a long storied career, I will see in my 60s, I will have, the LA Phil perform my stuff at the Hollywood Bowl. It'll be nice. I'll have that Bugs Bunny moment, And then, nope. First project, bang, there it is. And so I was like, whoa. So in that one, it went by so fast, I didn't even hear it. I was sitting right there, and he started, and it was like, oh, that's a little, oh, shit, it's over. It was like, I couldn't even hear it. I couldn't believe what was happening. So anyway, I eventually learned to enjoy it. And one of the things was when I finally got to actually conduct it live in front of people, live in a concert. There's one thing conducting in a studio where you're trying to get something recorded, and another thing when you're doing it and there's 1,000 people staring at your back. So I went to do that once, and there was some potential. We tried to get it all worked out technical wise. I had some of the backing tracks and a click track on DA88 tape that was going to feed into my headphones, and the orchestra was supposed to have headphones too, because there's a lot of extra percussion in most of the God of War stuff that wasn't going to be in most orchestras. So the arrangement I had going on did not have near the percussion. So I had it on one of the tracks of the D88 and a click, and I purposely printed the click a little bit ahead because I knew that everybody's going to follow. Right? They were supposed to have headphones. And then they were also at least supposed to have some speakers back there, but neither of those things came through. So on the date, it's just going to be me with hearing the stuff and the click, and they're not going to hear it. And the speakers are out to the side. They're not going to hear the percussion stuff to listen to that for a time reference. So it's all on me, right? And so I get out there, take the bow, and I tell them to start the thing, and the clicks come in. And the clicks started hitting my ears, and it's like, holy shit, I don't know if he's changed the sample rate or what, but that's way too slow. That is way too slow. And I'm like, all right, well, I have to go with it because that's what it's going to come out slow anyway. The drums and whatever are going to come in slow, so it'll just have to be what it's going to be. And then, so the orchestra starts, and it's like, oh, wow. That's not slow at all, actually. I'm fast. It's like I was so freaking amped. I had so much adrenaline going. It was like I was in the middle of bullet time. And it was coming, everything was slowed down in my mind because I was just so freaked out about everything I had to do. And so, but then I could tell, though. It was like, wow. I started to feel like, it was like Neo, he's starting to believe. And and I could see like a picture in my mind of where the click was happening and where my baton was hitting the ictus, as they call it, or is the I can't remember if it's the ictus or the victus or whatever. But whenever my downbeat was just a little bit behind where I could see like an approach to the session, the click. And I could hear the orchestra hitting just a little bit behind mine. And so I could imagine in my head what it would look like. So I just looked at in my mind, the click that was coming to anticipating it and getting in front of it. And then I felt the orchestra melt forward into them playing in time with the actual backing tracks and the click, and me just in front of it, and not even being drugged back by the orchestra. Because really, if you start to listen to an orchestra and they'll drag you down. It's like if they're slow, pulling them forward in time is like pulling the Titanic with your teeth. I mean, it's like, it's like all those people. But as stand by stand, they melted forward in time. And I could see it happening, like this strange 3D visual with the imaginary Pro Tools session. And while I'm doing that, I'm like, it's like I felt like a big grown-up composer for the first time in my life. And it ends, and it was all fine. I take the bow, and I went back downstairs in that was in the San Pedro Grand Theater. I went downstairs in the boiler room and I screamed at the top of my lungs. I was so full of fucking adrenaline still.
Oh, wow.
Sorry for the F word. But yeah, so we, anyway, so that's probably, it's like I felt like a big grown-up composer. At that point, I felt like I could do anything. I felt like freaking Superman, you know. I'd beaten it all. I'd the final boss, you know, and I was the final boss. Because I was very much afraid that I was going to screw it up.
What a feeling of accomplishment, though. That had to have been quite a surreal moment for you and for your career, and just seeing it all come together like that. That had to have been really special. That's really cool that it happened to you. I'm happy for you for that.
Yeah, it truly was.
Yeah.
A fantastic thing. It really just opened my confidence wide open for so many other things. And now I've conducted that piece and a couple others from mainly the God of War stuff around the world. And still I get called to go around the world. I mean, it got shut down for pandemic, but I might just be looking at another big trip here in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
I shouldn't really talk about it yet, but yeah. Another nice one coming up here probably. So yeah, it's been the grand fashion, but I'm going to go with that being my favorite memory.
Okay. Well, you helped bring to life one of the biggest video game franchises of all time. What is that feeling like to have millions and millions of people listen to your work? Is it surreal almost?
It's a little surreal, and at the same time, I don't know. I mean, I was always a little bit cocky. Like I told you, I figured I was going to be some kind of big old rock star at 22. So it's like, finally, right? I always kind of believed it would happen one way or another, and it's not the way I expected it, but I'll take it. You know, and really, it's to tell you that's the good side of it is yes. You know, I can believe it too. You know, I wasn't just freaking faking it till I'm making it. I always thought that I had that I was gonna make music that people would want to hear. You know, that was the part of the thing. You know, when I went to college, when you go to college to study composition, there's a whole lot of folks in there that are trying to write music that's very innovative and is not beholden to the past. And some of that really is not pleasing to most ears. Mm-hmm. So, you know, and they kind of look down on people writing typical tonal stuff, for pop type things like, games and movies. So, you go to school and you understand that there is a frontier that you're not anywhere near. But also, I don't care. I really did want to write music that I liked, and I was sure that other people would like it too. And, it's great to have that thing. And also the concerts is really what drives it home, because you can write music for video games and have millions and millions of people listening to it and loving it, and then you never get to interact with them because you wrote it in a dark room, and then they play the games in a dark room all by themselves. So the fact that we've been able to go out and do these concerts now, and you actually just go and meet them and be in the room when they experience the music with maybe the visuals up on the screen and have them go cheer. It's like, yeah, I'm glad you liked it. And they're like, dude, you're awesome. Like, dude, no, you're awesome. It's like, yes, thanks, man. It's, it's great. It's really, it's been, I don't know. I've been truly blessed to, I took a lot of ass busting to get in those places that I was before, I was lucky, but I was ready, right? So it's luck being the intersection of preparedness and opportunity. That's what it is, So, we might get into some advice. You're probably going to ask me that sometime in the future, but that's it. I'll say you got to get lucky, but if you keep busting your ass, you'll eventually get lucky. When you get lucky, you're ready. Some people get lucky immediately and they're not quite ready and it doesn't work out. But lucky breaks are out there. It does take luck, but making the luck happen, you just got to keep pulling that slot machine handle.
Yeah, you got to believe in yourself to make your dreams come true. You certainly did that. That's pretty incredible to hear your story. I have 2 quick questions for you. The first one is, God of War as a franchise is still going. They're making a new one. They made one a couple years ago, but I did see that you were not involved in the composing aspect of that. Was that something that they contacted you about and you turned down, or do you have any sore feelings about not being involved? What stops you from continuing God of War?
Well, the only sore feelings I would have are because well, you can look at it. I mean, the newer God of Wars are it's a different everything, man. It's a different it's barely even the game that it was, and Kratos is not even the same voice actor. So and they kind of unceremoniously didn't hire him. So if I'm a big boy. I can understand if you want to go a different way, and it would make sense if you really want to make a new game to do something different. Across the board, you do things different because it's Norway, and it's not even, it's more about the boy, I think, so it's not all about big, giant, hairy testosterone. It's a little bit more intimate. Maybe you'd want to bring that. Maybe you'd want to look around somewhere else for that. But I think I can go ahead and say it publicly that they didn't give me a shot, and they wouldn't even respond to my inquiries, nor my agent's inquiries. They basically ghosted me, and so. I'm a big boy. You could say, hey, man, we're going to go somewhere else. Thanks for all the fun, but we're going to do this. But they didn't even tell me no. So that would be the only thing I'm sore about, that I would have liked to have. I don't know. That's I don't know. I kind of felt like that wasn't maybe the way to go. And they did the same thing to the voice actors. So, I don't feel like, I'm not alone in this.
That's just interesting that no matter who you are and what you have done, people will still ghost you or just not respond because it's convenient to them. Just give you a straight answer. Just be like, hey, we're going for a new direction. This is our reasoning. It's just, it's not professional. I feel like of them just to not even respond.
I would think it's not. I don't really know what went on behind the scenes for any of that. But and maybe somebody's supposed to handle it and they didn't, and then it got kicked down the road. I mean, I've been on the other side of these things, and I've seen people not handle things right, and where I want to be the one to reach out and they're like, no, let me handle it, and then they don't, and then you're like, well, then you start to look kind of like a jerk. But it might have. There could be a million reasons why that are really not, that nobody wanted to actually not say anything, but it was somebody's job and then they didn't. And then so anyone who would have wanted to couldn't, or got fired or quit. I don't know. There's a million ways that could go. And also, you can't get too bent out of shape when a soulless multinational corporation doesn't take your feelings into account with its decisions that it makes. So, you'll go crazy in this world if you do.
Good point.
So, there's all that. But yeah. Okay. And, John Williams isn't going to be scoring. He isn't scoring all the Star Wars. He isn't scoring all the Jurassic Parks. So, whatever. I'd be happy to come back. And I don't hold grudges either. I mean, I don't know who or what. I'm sure it's just some HR mishap that they didn't freaking at least tell me no.
Yeah.
but yeah. So
Okay.
Anyone who's actually making the stuff, they'd probably be fine to have a hangout and talk about shit. But whatever. That isn't what it is. Or it is what it isn't.
Yeah. All right, well, Gerard, I want to end this on a high note because I know you have a ton of fans. So where can fans go to listen to more of your music? What are you up to right now? And is there anything on the horizon that we can look forward to? I know you mentioned potentially a tour. Tell us a little bit about what you can share.
All right, well, I'll tell you, I'll do the vague booking first. I am negotiating with an indie company to provide all the music for a fairly exciting kind of like NFT based blockchain game, but which could be the new frontier. We're still negotiating though, so I can't really even tell you who that is. So that's that on the game side. You can always go to my website to see what's happening. It's not the most updated every time thing, but I do try to throw new things out there when I can. So, Gerard at GerardKMarino.com, or just GerardKMarino.com. That's the website. And then, you can check out, there's a portfolio page with some things on there, some of which you might not have heard. There's like a latest page that has some of the things in the last year or two that I've done. I did do the New Year's Eve countdown for the downtown Los Angeles City Hall celebration this year.
I saw that. I looked into that.
And that was fun. Unfortunately, they had an Omicron scare and shut it down to the public the week of. They're like, oh.
Tough break.
So it's like, it was me and it was the tech people. So, and the hosts. So it was a little strange. Everybody, the bands that were performing to like 7 people, including me. Like, hey, awesome, yeah. But anyway, so that was that. That's the last big thing that's public. I'm writing a tune with second song with my girlfriend, who's voice actress that on the Fire Emblem series, Sarah Blandy.
Oh, wow.
Another track coming out with a video in the next month or two. We did one last year that's out. I think there might be a link to that on my site, but I do have it up on my YouTube channel, which has my YouTube channel's like got a bunch of numbers in it. It's not easy for me to tell you, but you can, if you go to my, you can search for me and find it. Let's see. I'm doing a remix. Do you know who John McAfee is?
Was that the tennis player?
No.
Oh, it's McEnroe.
McEnroe.
Sorry.
No, he's the guy who invented McAfee antivirus. But
okay, yeah, the thing that always pops up saying that the subscription's ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he invented antivirus, I guess. But he's a crazy guy who lived a crazy life and wild life. And so I recently read I don't know, it's semi-autobiography of him that, and I'd followed his Twitter, and he died in a Spanish prison just last year under dubious circumstances while on the run from the CIA, and he was tweeting the whole time through it, and just an interesting anti-tax, interesting character, right? So a couple of times on his tweet storms, he would just put the phone by the piano and play a piece. He would also just like lay out some what he thought were life lessons. And so I'm actually doing a remix where I took one of his little piano noodlings and one of his speeches on a life lesson and throwing a beat underneath it and putting it all into I don't know, kind of a chill hop sort of vibe. So I'm going to see what the legalities might be of releasing that, but I think somebody's making a documentary on him, so I was making this thing and I just found out there's a documentary in the works, so I'm going to send that to them. But anyway, I'm going to sit that out there. I don't know if it's going to be able to be officially released or I'll just have it on a YouTube channel until it gets taken down. So that's another thing I'm working on. And I've actually been doing some voice acting the last couple of years too. You
really do have a good voice. It's a nice deep voice. I can totally see you being a voice actor.
Well, I've had some fun with that, and there's a game you can download that I've voiced. It's called World Baseball Stars. I wrote the music for it too, but it's just kind of like load music, like I don't know, old school baseball rock. And but yeah, I'm like the umpire and the players and the coach all at the same time. It's kind of sort of a multiple role thing. It's really pretty funny. It's just a silly little game, but it's fun stuff. Actually, I sang 4 songs and did the character exertions in a game called Rainbow Billy that's out on Steam right now. Yeah, I sang 4 songs.
Wow. I saw that in your
Disney
credits.
Villain style.
Disney villain style. Oh man, you got some pipes on you, I bet.
Yeah, I've got that love type shit, villain type shit. So, yeah, I do enjoy a good karaoke or another, usually lower range stuff, but yes. So, I'm keeping busy, and I don't know. I always forget things because I'll help out producing stuff. I'll help out, and I've got a daughter who's singing, so I'm working on getting her going.
Well, you've got your hands full. You got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. You get older, you have some kids, you get some. I don't know. The obligations just festoon.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I got things going on. You can always go to the website, or my Facebook or my Twitter. You can find me if you just search Gerard Marino, Gerard K. Marino, Gerard Marino Composer. You'll find me on most of those things, and they're all pretty logical. It's like GK Marino at Twitter and Gerard Marino on Facebook. So you can follow me on any of that. Instagram too, I think. Twitch. I was twitching for a while during the pandemic. I was doing a weekly DJ show. I was doing a monthly DJ show before that in a club here in LA. Yeah, we missed that part. I was going to do, double down on that touring musician thing. Actually, take that swing at being a rock star, and play all the conventions worldwide for where nerds might go to hear club versions of their favorite video game music.
That'd have been pretty cool.
I was doing it, and then I was actually about to really pull it off with. Doing it for a believe it or not, a CBD company that had these new gummies they wanted to market to gamers, and I was going to be the gateway drug.
That's good marketing, though.
Maybe, but but then that was like we were going to do South by Southwest of 2020, and it got canceled along with the rest of the world.
Yeah.
and the company stopped making gummies. They started making hand sanitizer. They retooled.
Yeah. Man.
So it's like, well, what are you going to put in the damn gummies?
Yeah.
You could do that so quickly. And I think that was probably a good thing I didn't get involved with that.
Yeah, that's a good assumption.
So anyway, yeah, so that's it. I'm always going to be trying out new stuff. One of these things, any one of these things might blow up in a different direction.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if I can pull off that world tour shit again, I'll do it. And if not, I don't know, do the game thing and sitting here, do the voice acting thing, whatever. There's a million things to try to do these days.
Well, Gerard, I think whatever you do, I think you're going to end up being successful. I think your history has shown that. So whichever one pops off, I think you will take full control of.
Well, as best I can. It's like riding a whirlwind, man. I mean, you can surf a little bit on the big waves, but you can't if the waves aren't crashing, or if the waves crash too hard. It's the waves who's in charge.
Well, Gerard, thank you so much for your time today. It was a real pleasure to just talk to you and get some more knowledge on the process of how you helped create God of War, kind of your creative process, your origin story. All that was fantastic.
So that was my interview with the composer of the original God of War series, Gerard Marino. Gerard, thank you so much for your time today. And of course, thank you, the listener, for tuning in. If you love exclusive interviews with game creators and game developers, make sure you hit that sub button to watch and listen to plenty of more interviews that I have coming up.